Hey, my name's Hamid, aka H2O, and I'm going to talk to you about why I think you should play Warframe, and also talk to you about just the basics, understanding everything, all that good stuff. Um, Please excuse the background and all that kind of stuff. We are in a shared office with my fiance, so I also need to realize that I need to look at the camera when I'm talking to people because this is a recording. So we're going to go into the game. So the basic, why I think you should play it. I started playing this 2 months ago. I've put a lot of hours into it. I played initially started playing free to play, and I'm originally a Destiny player, and I'm a big fan of looter shooters. Warframe really isn't a looter shooter. It's more of a crafting, grinding for materials crafting game. It's still very heavily loot based because you are getting a lot of loot once you craft it. But there's a bit more to it than that. However, well, I think you should play it. If you're a Destiny fan, if you like the loot based games, if you like big kind of a long journey. I know people that have been playing this game since release, and it's been nearly 10 years. It predates Destiny 1, which is mad. Does the game look as good as things out now? No, sure, but the gameplay is really solid, especially when you get used to it. And the nice thing is that the ceiling for skill level is really quite good. It's not just it's not just basic run and jumps. There's combos. There's linking things together, linking maneuvers together, linking jumps, and the way you can latch onto walls and the parkour side of things. Everything's really quite good. The It needs better gunplay, but the devs are looking at improving that. They may be looking at nerfing the melee, but by and large, for the majority of all the players in the game, it's not really going to affect. It's not going to really affect the majority. It's only going to affect that kind of 0.1% or the 1% of the player population that are at that end game level, which I'm going to be honest is like true end game level. It takes kind of a year or two to really get there. What's the downside? If you don't like looter shooters, if you don't like grindy games, then yeah, stay away. But if you're happy with the grind and you like looking at ways to make the grinds more enjoyable, make the farming more enjoyable, look at different methods on how to kind of it's it, it's really kind of creative the way you can do things. What else? Well, the choices. The choices. There's a ton of choice. Some might say there's too much choice. But the nice thing is you can kind of pick and choose. When you're getting to the later stages of the game and you're kind of going into the realms of kind of, let's say you're working on grinding out your mastery level, which is your account rank, then you get the choices start to become more and more limited. But at the start of the game, actually that's a lie. The start of the game's very limited. Everything kind of opens up early to mid game, and I'll explain why. So, I think one of the main reasons this game isn't as popular as games like Destiny or Division or any kind of loot bait, Borderlands, let's say, is that there isn't an instant gratification. The payoff for this game really kind of shines after about 40 hours of in-game play. We're going to go through all the kind of the things that you start with and how to navigate them, because I know a lot of people, so many people, They get into this. I've opened up the video with one of the characters you can choose, who's Volt, the Warframe Volt. So he's one of the characters you can choose as a starting frame. So Warframe. And everything feels quite limited. And I think the more you play it, the more you start to understand why. So let's get into the mechanics and things, just to get your head around everything, shall we? So let's say you've started with Volt. You can have Excalibur, there's Volt, and I can't remember who the last one is. Sorry. Because I actually start with Excalibur. So, you know, I only found out later on that you could have chosen Volt. Had I known that, I would have chosen Volt. So, Warframe. You'll start on your ship. This is your ship. Everything will feel a little bit alien. Well, you are. Everything will feel really alien. So let's go through the navigations of the game. Here, your navigation. You'll start on Earth. Or the majority of all the nodes, like if I click here, 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 and all of this. So my phone. They'll all be, you won't be able to access them. You'll have like something flashing at you, like in like a bluey green. So you basically need to play through all the nodes as they unlock to unlock them. And eventually you'll unlock the prerequisites to unlock a junction. And junction is basically like a mini boss fight, which will allow you to travel to the next planet, which is Venus. And so on and so forth. Now, on each one of these junctions, before you can actually unlock it, there'll be prerequisites. So you'll need to do certain things on your on the map. So activate a new quest using the codex in your orbiter, complete quest Vor's prize. We'll get to all that. So we'll talk about the codex. Your orbiter is your ship. Collect 20 mods, apply 4 mods to a single Warframe, upgrade any mod to rank 2. Right. So we can talk about those prerequisites, because a lot of that, like when you start the game, people will go, oh, how can I go to another planet? And they'll want to, you know, because I did everything a bit back to front, because I'm about like, 400 hours in, which is about 25% of what, you know, some of the people I play with have done. But I wanted to talk about this game from a relatively new player perspective. So, yeah, prerequisites. Every planet on around the navigation has got a prerequisite and a junction for you to be able to get to. Some of them don't, because what it will do is unlock like maybe two different planets. So you've got that. Let's come out of that. Hit escape. So, navigation. Then you've got your codex, which is here. Your codex is here, so you have your quests, your universe, which is telling you, basically giving you all the information in the game, all the different mods in the game. This is basically showing the mods that you've collected, like every mod you've collected. This can go on. So there's all these other mods that I haven't collected yet, and it won't even tell me what they do. It tells you where it comes from though. Drop source, pilfering swarm, prolonged paralysis, where it says here. So it's actually telling you where it's coming from, giving you all the information here. You can filter out the mods to Warframe mods, augments, auras, primary, secondary, melee, Exless, stances. You can sort them all. You can search through them. You can order them by rank, like the ones that I've been upgrading, etc., etc. So that's the universe. That's like all the information about all the stuff in the game. Mods. So you want to read through this. It's worth checking it out. You want to look at Warframes. You certainly you want to look at factions. These are like the key ones: factions, mods, warframes, understanding objects. The Levarian. This is just art. Training. This is very handy. Do all of that. It's worth doing all of that. Gives you an understanding of, like, basically, you know, all the fundamentals. And these are missions. Now, these are missions that you actually select to do. This is giving you the information on all the mission types in the game. So let's look, if you're a Destiny player, let's look at that. So in Destiny, there's so many mission types. There's Crucible, Gambit, Strikes, Raids, open world, free roaming, bounties, you know. But like bounties and open world, all of that can be lumped into one. So let's say there's 3 mission types: Gambit, Crucible, and Strikes, like the playlist stuff. In Warframe, there's, what's that, 6, 12, so another 6, 18, 20. It's 20 mission types. Some are similar with slight differences. Like spy and sabotage could be classed as very similar things. Mobile defense and regular defense could be classed as similar things, but there's a bit more like moving around. But these are all the different mission types. Which is why in the navigation, I encourage anyone that plays to work through all the nodes in the game, because what's going to end up happening is that each node will be a different mission type. So it's acquainting you with each mission type in an increasing scaling difficulty. It also unlocks the other half of the game. So do every node in the game, everything that's flashing at you, just do all of them. Let's go to Codex again. Now we have our quests. Usually they start around near the bottom. A lot of these, most of these will be grayed out because it will require you to have actually played through all the planetary nodes. You need to do stuff. You need to go talk to everyone. You'll need to go to the open world areas. You'll need to talk to the factions, stuff like this. Maybe pick some factions. We'll get to that. So like, I've still got stuff that is grayed out now. You know, I can't actually do them, but once you can do them, it'll show up and you'll be able to just click on it and you could start the mission. They're generally done as a solo thing. But the nice thing is they generally, majority of the time, don't take very long. You can probably knock out a full quest out in like maybe an hour. Okay. So they're worth doing. There'll be priorities. Things like you want to do Second Dream, War Within, not in any particular order, depending on how they open up for you. The Sacrifice, all these here, like, just get them all done. Any of the ones that you see on screen now, get them done. The Archwing, very important to do if you want to be able to progress all the mission nodes on your navigator. You need to get that done. All these missions will generally tell you to, you need to go here, you need to find this thing, you need to kill this thing, you need to collect this thing, you need to craft this thing. So that's your codex. Then we have this. This is the Nightwave. This is basically, this won't be active all the time. This is your season pass. It's a free thing. It changes. I'm not entirely sure how long these go on for. But your Nightwave is basically season pass. But in the Nightwave, there are Nightwave, unlike a regular season pass, which is saying, you know, just play the game, you'll get XP, you'll progress the season pass, like Destiny, for example. This has actually got mission or bounty specific. So these are basically loads of bounties. So by doing the bounties, you will if you were to do every bounty every week, like all of them, you'd basically level up your season pass or your Nightwave 3 to 4 times. So you get like 3, 4 levels, and that goes up to level 30. Early on, you're not going to be able to necessarily get them all done, because some of the harder stuff requires you to do some really like end game stuff, or maybe some. So you're not necessarily going to be able to get everything done. So that's your Nightwave. Open 20 lockers. These are just examples. Kill 150 enemies with electricity damage. Riding a K drive, kill 20 enemies while riding a K drive. That's really hard, actually. Okay. Yeah, I just won't do that. Okay, and the rewards are actually really quite nice, very useful. And if you're a little bit later on and you're not too sure what to do with some of this stuff, intermission cred is probably the most important thing. If you're your intermission cred is basically your seasonal currency for the Nightwave, your Nightwave currency. And if you go to cred offerings here, that will allow you to buy things with that credit that you get from the season pass. For the love of God, if you're a new player and you start getting that currency, do not buy any of the cosmetics or even get sucked into buying a Warframe like I did. Like, this is the parts for a Warframe. Just don't do it. Don't even buy mods. Don't buy any of that. Only buy Nitane. I still only really buy Nitane. And the reason being is Nitane is a required material or required, what do you want to call it, resource to allow you to build things in the game. And it's really hard to get outside of Nightwave, outside of the season pass. So what ended up happening, for example, is last Nightwave, I spent the last remaining amount of my credits, or my cred offering currency, intermission cred, on Vuben, like the parts to build a new Warframe. And when I wanted to start building other Warframes that needed Nitane, the Nightwave was over, the season pass had ended, I didn't have any Nitane, but I had all the parts, everything else, to be able to build all the Warframes I wanted and all the weapons I wanted, but it needed Nitane. And it's near impossible to get Nitane as a easy resource. So I had to wait a month before the new Nightwave came out, before the new season came out, and complete my first rank up, and then buy Nitane. So that's probably the most important thing for a new player. Buy all the Nitane with any credits that you get. Just buy all the Nitane. Don't get sucked into buying anything else. Buy Nitane. I'm going to keep saying Nitane.
That's all from me.
This section here is something that will periodically come up when you're doing quests. You're generally scanning things or inspecting things. This is your mods collection. This allows you to do things like, this looks at all your mods, which you can sort by rank, by your recent collected ones, the rarity of it, the rating, how many duplicates of a mod you've got, because mods are basically something you're just going to be collecting. I've got thousands. I've got 3,000 duplicates. It's pretty nuts. All that good stuff. You can do specific searches for mods. You can infuse duplicate mods together and then turn them into something else. Sometimes you can get really lucky. I would recommend, especially for the newer players, don't do any of that. Just collect mods. Collect all of them. Because over time, it's going to become very clear what the good mods are and what the ones that you're probably never going to use are. And you're going to want all those duplicate mods to be able to dismantle them, dissolve them into Endo, which is that little number there. I've got 4,000 Endo, 43,000 Endo. Endo is the resource that is spent in upgrading mods. So we go to a low power one, insulation, gives me 10% cold resistance. If I click on it, I need to select one, select infusion, fusion. I can now upgrade it. It's telling me on the left-hand side here, from 10% to 20%, 30, all the way up to 60% cold resistance, plus 60% cold resistance. There we go. It's going to cost me 310 endo to infuse it, all the way up to that rank, and nearly 15,000 credits. Your credits are something that you passively collect early on in the game. You're going to struggle with credits. It's going to be a bit of a tough haul. So don't go infusing mods yet. You know, wait until you've got. I would really start investing into all this kind of stuff once you kind of get 1 million credits. The amount of credits that you can hold is uncapped, so that's pretty good. But when you 1 million's too much. When you get like 500,000 credits, then maybe start investing, because once you get 500,000 credits, you'll probably have a clear understanding of what mods you want to use and what mods you don't. So you know where you're going to start investing the endo and the currency into. Iotan treasures. So we can sell mods as well. So if we've got lots of duplicates, we can sell mods. We can select all our duplicates. We can sell the ones we don't like, and we can sell them and get credits for it. So fusion, transmute duplicates into a new mod, dissolve into endo. That's probably going to be your most valuable thing early on in the game, because you're going to collect hundreds. That's your mods. This is your little pet sanctuary. So one of the things that you'll get in the game, and you'll need to do a quest line for, is you have a pet, a companion. There's multiple variants of companion. I haven't even unlocked all of them yet, so I'm just going to talk about the two that I know of. And one is the animal companion, which is more of a damage dealing companion, something that specifically is going to be very additive to the damage that you do as a Warframe. However, they require maintenance, kind of like a Tamagotchi. So you've got to keep them fed, got to keep them happy while they're on the ship. So I haven't actually used an animal companion yet, but I know in the later parts of the game, they are going to become a far more valuable, a valuable thing to be using over and above the robotic companions, which I'll get to. So yeah, you'll need to do a quest line to unlock this whole kind of section here. Then we have our Foundry. Our Foundry is how you get everything, how you build everything, because the game is a crafting game. It's a building game. So blueprints and all sorts of things will start appearing in here, and it's going to give you it's going to tell you what you're going to need to build it, how long it's going to take. All sorts of things to build. Warframes, weapons, everything. Everything. See, I've even finished building a gun here. So this is where you do all your building, all your crafting. This is the most important, probably one of the most fundamentally important things to be able to progress as a character, progress your account, progress your experience and mastery. You need to be building something and using it, and we'll get to that bit in a moment. This is just showing my robotic companion. These are void relics. Void relics are basically they're kind of like engrams in Destiny, or the little treasure boxes. You need to do missions to unlock them, and you can actually target farm whatever is in that relic. So each relic will have different things. If we click here. So these are all the relics that I own. So I've got like 15, 31. And in each relic, there's possible rewards. There's the common, the uncommon, the rare. You can infuse that relic to give you a higher chance of getting the uncommon, or the rare stuff. You're just not going to do that early on. Don't worry about it. The reason you do these, the reason you want to unlock these and get the contents out of these is that they drop prime components. Now, prime components are basically the upgraded version of all the other stuff that you're going to be collecting in the game. So, let's say you play a Warframe. You start with Vault, like I'm started with. I'm playing original Vault, but if I do prime relics and farm the contents of these, I might be able to get a Vault Prime, the parts to build Vault Prime, which is an upgraded model. Vault Prime is vaulted, so because there's so much stuff in the game, certain armor, certain weapons and warframes and all of that will go on, become vaulted, so become hard. You won't be able to get them in game anymore. But the players might have the relics from where it was previously unvaulted. They might still have the relics with those parts, within them. So if you're lucky enough to do that, then you're sitting on something that's worth a lot of platinum. So fair play. We'll get to platinum. Farm prime parts, farm everything in these relics. If you want a slightly better variant of a weapon type, then you can actually search for, say, Wukong is a Warframe, and I want to farm the parts for Wukong Prime. I would type in Wukong or Wukong. There we go, Wukong. So these are all the relics that contain Wukong, or the parts for Wukong. So Wukong Prime Systems, Wukong Prime Neuroptics, more Neuroptics. So Warframes come in 3 parts: Neuroptics, System, and Chassis, and then you need the main blueprint, and that applies to Prime and non-Prime, all that kind of stuff. So like everything in the game has parts to it and a blueprint. Certain blueprints you might have straight away, and then you just need to get the parts for it. But not everything requires you to farm every specific parts like from a relic. So you'll need, so within all these relics, there'll be a prime chassis, there'll be a prime neuroptic, what was it, and a prime systems and a prime blueprint. If you have all those, if you have all four of those things, you can then start building those things and then craft the whole thing. So the blueprint will allow you to take all those parts that you've created and built in your Foundry and then combine them all together to make the full Wukong Warframe, which is here. This is your loadout, your arsenal. So here we can equip the Warframes that we've been crafting or crafted. I've got a lot. We can equip the weapons that we've crafted. So primary, secondary, melee. Lots of different weapons. Loads of different weapons. And each weapon will feel different, play different. Provided you've modded it. Because early on in the game, you'll find that any melee weapon that you've got, you're just going to be swinging around like stupidly. It's going to feel really stupid. You're just going to be like swinging up and down, just like just whacking things. And it's going to feel really unsatisfying and really kind of weird. And that's all because you haven't augmented the weapon with its dedicated stance. Now, the stance is what changes the weapon. So we're going to get into that in a sec. So let's just equip, let's just equip a weapon on each thing. So, choosing your Warframe, upgrading it. That's to upgrade it with the mods that you've got, that we talked about. We can put in 8 mods, 1 Aura, and 1 Exilus mod. The Exilus mod is like a min-maxing mod. It comes locked, and then you need to spend platinum in order to unlock it. Platinum is a premium currency, which you can earn in-game by selling prime parts, which is what those void relics are good for. So if you don't want to, if you're not thinking, I don't really want to min-max to that extra 1% increase, because prime Warframes, by and large, probably only give you an extra like 1% performance boost over let's say 1 to 5% performance boost over its non-prime variant. Everything else about it is the same. It just looks better and has a slight increase in its energy capacity, shields, armor. Not necessarily all at the same time, but you know, that's generally how it is. You could, quite frankly, play through the entire game, even endgame, with using non-prime variants if you wanted to. But, you know, we all like nice looking things. So, you know, so either farm the things, make platinum by selling prime parts. That's probably the best way you're going to make platinum as well. Sell prime parts. There are websites where you can actually list all of that. And then, you know, you can, people will message you in game that they want to buy it. And you can just meet up, sell the stuff, and, you know, make in-game make premium currency quite well. Actually, people make a lot, so it's worth it. So, aura mod slots. Certain mod slots will have what's called a polarity. These are your polarities all along here. If a mod slot has a polarity, like this one here has that little V, which is the Mandarai polarity. If I put a mod in there, so if we look at the polarity on this, it's saying 13. That's the energy cost. If we go up here, I've got 44 energy, and I've got 6 left out of 44. So mods use energy, and that's displayed up here. If I put a mod that says 13 energy and I put it in a slot that has the same polarity code there, and I put it in here, let's just take that out. Oh, I've already got it in. Let's take that out. Okay, so we've got 21. If I put it in here, it's just taking a 21, it's taking that down to 8. It's just taking 13 off that. But if I put it in here, it halves the cost. So that's why it's good that frames, weapons, all of this, some of them will have certain polarities like built into the slots, and that's just going to allow you to be able to put higher costing mods into the slots and be able to like really fill out a frame, like really fill out a weapon, like really min-max, like get like the reason this costs so much is because it's been upgraded. So that's the blue dots underneath show how many times it's been upgraded. So the more you upgrade it, the higher the cost of the mod. So that's where having polarities in each one of these slots is actually quite a big deal. But again, end game stuff, mid to end game stuff. You only want to start like really kind of working on creating your polarities and adding those to your slots, and you know, kind of really thinking about that when you start getting into the latter part of the I'm going to say mid game, because yeah, it kind of everything that kind of changes when you get to the second half of the game. Right, sorry, Mike. Same with weapons. So what you've just seen in a Warframe, you could do exactly the same thing with a weapon. There's no stance, there's no aura mod, but you have an extra slot, which is a min-maxed thing, just to give you like bonuses. But you have the same thing. It all applies, you know. And then you have your appearance. The appearance, you can change pretty much everything about it. You can buy skins for your weapons, you can change your primaries and your secondary colors, you can literally go through everything and change everything. You can randomize the colors. You can change, you can even give like, you know, specific styles that you can just switch through. Okay, so it works for Warframes. And then you've got abilities here. So that's just telling you what abilities that Warframe does. So, yep, you can equip, you can upgrade on everything here. Ignore this. Early on, like really ignore it. In fact, I'm not going to even talk about that. I'm not even going to talk about the other side of my ship, because that's a big fat spoiler. Parazon, this really confused me. I was like, when I was playing this game, I kept seeing this with its mods and stuff. I was like, but I can't. I never find myself using my Parazon. What is that? What's the button for that? All that is your interactability. So I've got mine set to F. What will happen is certain things you interact with, you'll use this to say hack into it or activate it or do something. It's just a passive thing. So don't worry too much about it. It's basically bound to your use button or your interact button. Okay? Which really threw me off. But you can still upgrade it with certain very limited selection of mods. And you can change the appearance to say match. So I can say copy Warframe colors and match it to my Warframe. Okay. Now let's go to the companion. Now the companion, because I've selected my robotic companion. Again, I can equip different companions. I can equip my Fugly, who's my pet. I haven't even used him yet. I know this because he's at level 1. So we're going to go with the Helios because that's my main companion. Equip, upgrade, same rules apply to everything else. Weapon, equip, upgrade, same rules apply to everything else. Certain robotic companions will come with their own dedicated weapon. So the Helios comes with the Deconstructor. The Deconstructor is arguably one of the best companion weapons in the game because it's a melee. You can equip it with melee specific mods, which are arguably some of the best mods. So that's that. Get a companion as soon as you can. And for a new player, I highly recommend getting a Helios. Don't worry about getting Helios Prime. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It really doesn't. But I really recommend getting the Helios as your first companion. It's been my main companion, and I don't really see myself not using it for a long time for 2 fundamental reasons. One, it gives you really good kind of extra damage early on in the game. But 2, in fact, 3 reasons. 2, it will auto-collect everything within a certain vicinity. So rather than you having to walk over all the stuff that you need to collect in the game, it will just suck everything in. It's called vacuum. So you can be really blasé because there's so many things to collect on the floor that's dropping and everything, and this thing is just vacuuming it all up, like while you're doing your missions and everything like that. It's got a massive quality of life improvement. I mean, when I got it, it was just like, oh, this is brilliant. I'm not missing all the stuff that in missions, I'm collecting everything, But 3, it's got what's called a built-in codec scanner. So there's going to be mission types, and there's going to be things in those missions that you saw in the navigation where you have to scan things, and you'll need what's called Codec Scanners. And they can be found in here, which is your gear loadout. Your gear loadout, I've got mine bound to Q. If I click on it, so if I hold Q, it'll bring this gear wheel up, and I'll be able to select things to use from it. One of the things that you're going to need to start doing early on is using a codec scanner. That basically means you equip it, you use left or right mouse button to be able to zoom in on it, and then you fire button and you scan it. There's going to be scannable objects in the game. Some missions will require you to find those objects and scan them, and other times it will just be things that you can scan. What they do is they give you XP, mastery, they allow for completion of missions, and overall just is a useful thing to have. Now, one of the annoying things is that physically using them. The game is generally meant to be quite fast-paced, and one of the things that I found really annoying is the last thing you want to be doing in a mission is, whilst enemies are attacking you, pulling out the codec scanner and scanning something whilst enemies are attacking you. So it can really kind of stunt the general flow of the game. So the the reason I say this is with Helios, the robot is, as long as you've got Codec Scanners equipped in your gear wheel or just on you in your inventory, you don't even have to have them in your gear wheel. The Helios will automatically scan everything within a certain vicinity. So as long as you're standing near things or within, say, 5 meters of something, it will just literally just scan everything. So all the things that you might miss, it'll scan. And what will happen is it will use charges. So each codec scanner has charges. I've got 100. They're cheap to buy. You just like buy them from the market, which we'll get to next. And then you've got all your other things. So I could do things like my Archwing. So we'll get to that. Then you've got your emotes wheel. So we've got your gear launcher, your gear wheel, and your emotes wheel. Okay? You can equip new emotes. Do I have a dancey one? I really want a dance one. I haven't got a dance one. That's a shame. Nope. Okay. Now let's go to Archwing. Mission type. There are certain missions in the game that are in space. Sorry about my mic. They're in space, and they're called Archwing missions. Your Archwing is your flight suit, just attached to you. So you'll just be flying around space. What you do in space is very similar to what you do in the normal regular ground mission. So there might be a defense, there might be a spy mission, there might be something, but you just got to fly around and do it instead. Again, same rules apply for everything. You can equip one, you can upgrade it, change the appearance, same with the weapon, same with the melee weapon. K-Drive launcher. Apparently this is a useless thing now, so don't focus on getting a K-Drive launcher. Apparently it means nothing. Someone in the comment section can tell me I'm wrong, but apparently K-Drive launchers, pointless. So you have all the weapons, same thing. However, unlike with Warframe, an Archwing is its own entity. So when you're doing an Archwing weapon, you're no longer focusing on what your Warframe can do. You're focusing on what the Archwing can do. So you're changing the fact that you're changing it. So an Archwing has its own specific set of abilities, which is found here. So you can get different Archwings with different abilities. Doesn't matter what Warframe you're using. Okay? Go back to that. So that's everything there. Down here is stuff that you'll need to unlock doing all the quests. This ship gets bigger and bigger as you start progressing through it. That would be the fundamental basics of the game. Now, this is like the global thing, the thing that makes, that allows for your progression. That number there is your, up in the top left is your mastery rank. It's your account mastery. So every single weapon in the game, every Warframe in the game, every Archwing, every pet, every companion has its own inherent mastery level. When you create one and you farm for one and you build it, it will start at mastery rank 0. And you'll need to upgrade it and play the game with it to get it up to max rank, which is mastery 30. As you level up everything you own in the game, you are adding XP or mastery, we'll just call it XP. You're adding XP to your account mastery level. The higher your account mastery level, the more things you unlock in the game. So, for example, there's certain things you can't do until you get to mastery 2. So you need to farm things, play the game, create things, use them, get that mastery rank up. It sounds difficult, but it's surprisingly quick. I managed to get to mastery 15 in basically 1.5 months, which according to a lot of players is really fast. But the UK is on lockdown, so I haven't had a huge amount of other things to be doing. So yeah. Yeah. So let's go with that. I really haven't. Sucks. Mastery rank. You also gain mastery rank by doing all the new things on your navigator. All the new things. So anything that's flashing at you, pulsating at you, anything that's, you know, linked to something that's locked. So I've got nothing here that's flashing at me. Okay. Let's go here and I'll show you something that is flashing. There we go. That's what you're looking for. Anything that has that little glowy, flashy thing, those are the things you need to be focusing on doing. However, we're not going to do this. This is not something any new player should be doing. Just focus on your main planets. Focus on getting every one of those pulsating nodes unlocked, done, completed, and getting everything on here done. That will only be a benefit to you because it will unlock so many more ways of gaining lots of resources. Your everything kind of just suddenly grows exponentially. And by the time you've completed everything on here, you'll have such a clearer understanding of how it is you want to play the game, how you want to build your Warframes with mods, what kind of weapons you want to be using in the game. Because, as I say, every weapon has got a different feel, different play style. There's just so much to it. So I think that's it. And then lastly, to all the new players, and also anyone who's not been paying attention, the market, which is where you spend you spend premium currency, is not just the place where you spend premium currency. It is the place where you get weapons and gear for regular in-game credits. So we type Mark 1. So if you're a new player and you've got loads of credits and you're looking for things to level and gain mastery rank, buy everything here. Buy all of these things here. Buy them and use them. They'll also give you a nice understanding of the different weapon archetypes. Not all of them, but it's a good start. So if you've been playing for a while and you're just a little bit stuck, you've got all these different weapons: a bow, a secondary, another secondary, some fist weapons for melee, an auto rifle, a shotgun. So there's going to be certain things you can buy from the market just for credits. Generally, it will be called a Mark 1 something. That's for like all the new players. Just get all of these things and level them up to 30. And, but if you want to be super efficient, you want to be constantly rotating your weapons. So if you've got a weapon up to 30 and you've got something else you can get to level 30, swap it out and start using that and get that level to 30. Everything will start to slow down once you find your favorite weapon types and you find like you've got like epic stuff. But there will be a point where if you want to progress your mastery rank, you need to just be equipping new weapons and leveling them and gaining mastery rank. And I would say even though the mastery rank caps at 30, I would say if you want to be able to experience as much in the game as possible, you want and not feel like you're completely I would say there are milestones. So like mastery 4 to 5 is a great milestone, that unlocks a chunk of the game, and then getting mastery 8 is another chunk of the game. Then around 10 is a great milestone. 12 is another one. And then for me, my personal one was 15. I really want to get to 15 because that effectively unlocks the ability to use every weapon in the game, because certain weapons are tied behind mastery. And so that for me was a big one. And there were certain weapons that I wanted which were locked behind mastery 15 that I wanted to get. But yeah, that's how it is. I think that's everything. I hope this was informative. Just making sure there is nothing else. Okay, yeah. Lastly, factions. kind of a mid-game thing. What's going to end up happening, but just for beginners, like with wanting to choose factions, you're going to go to an area where there's going to be 6 different factions, and you'll want to select 3 of them to side with. Okay. You can choose whichever factions you want. However, it's very important that you choose factions that do not conflict with one another. So you can only you're generally only going to be gaining reputation with one faction at a time, depending on the warframes you're using or the missions you're doing. So the last thing you want to be doing is gaining reputation with one faction whilst losing reputation with another faction that you've chosen to side with. Okay. So, for example, Arbiters of Hexis is one of the factions I've chosen. He's opposed to the Perrin Sequence and the Red Veil. So I don't want to have another faction as the Red Veil. So right now, Red Veil are well annoyed with me. I'm not going to be able to gain any of their stuff. Not yet anyway. So I want to make sure I'm allied with someone. I just so happen to be allied with Cephalon Suda. So what happens is, the good thing about being allied with another faction is, as I'm gaining rep for this faction, 50%, I'm gaining an extra free amount of rep, 50% going to that one. So I'm effectively leveling 2 factions at the same time, which is great. And then you've got Steel Meridian, who's not opposed to either one of them. So I have to kind of level that up individually. Make sense? So these are the 3 factions that basically hate these 3 factions. And it will vary. It will vary. So if you want to choose one faction first, do a mission, do something that is, the way it works is you want to choose one faction that you like the look of first, gain some reputation with them, go back to the faction area where, like, you can choose another one, and look to see who's happier with you. If someone's happier with you, they're the other faction to choose. And then you want to look to see, after you've chosen that faction, who's neutral, who's neither happy or sad, and then choose that one. That's how it works. So don't go just choosing 3 at the same time. That's the worst thing you could do. Choose one, play the game with the one, get some reputation with them, see who else you've gained reputation with, choose that one next, and then there'll be one more that's you won't have gained any reputation with, or isn't mad at you. So they'll just be neutral the whole time while you've been gaining rep with the first 2 you've chosen. That's the 3rd one to choose. Okay? So that's that. And then to anyone that wants to spend money in the game, do not buy Warframes directly from in-game. They're overpriced, completely overpriced. Certain weapons could be arguably a worthwhile purchase, maybe, but even then, they're still overpriced for what they are. So any of the like basic Warframes that you can buy in the game. So if I filter this out, so these are all the Warframes. I can just buy them outright for 225 plat. That translates to maybe like £1 or so, a couple of £1 to buy the Warframe. However, it's still way too much. A lot of the times you'll find that you can buy a Prime variant off another player for cheaper, a lot cheaper. So if you are prepared to put money into the game, research the Warframes that you like the look of. Don't just buy, definitely just don't buy these Warframes, because you will inevitably end up needing to do quests and missions to farm the parts to build them to build them anyway. So the non-prime variants, like, don't buy these. Farm for them, gain the bits, farm for them, and then if you want to buy a prime Warframe, talk to a player and buy a prime Warframe. If you want to put money into the game, put money into the game, because the game is inevitably free to play. But if you've been playing it for a long time, some people like to put money into it because the developers, need it to be able to progress it. But just don't buy the actual, yeah. There are some frames which you have to do like ridiculously horrible grindy things for, like Grendel, for example, which someone might come along and go, yeah, sod it, I'll buy it. But I still wouldn't even do that, even if something is horrible, because there's so much choice. There's so many Warframes to choose from. You know, you just don't. Okay? Lastly, it's probably going on for way too long, but lastly, what was I going to say? I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Oh! I wanted to try and do this one take, but I guess oh man. That was it. Yeah, right. So prime Warframes and non-prime Warframes. So this other thing, this misconception. I think a lot of people, you know, the prime variant is only marginally better than the non-prime, and it's only better in terms of its energy capacity, like how often you can cast your abilities and how its health, all that kind of stuff. Its base energy. You can make a non-prime Warframe just as powerful. It'll always be that like 1% less powerful because of something. But we're not talking in raw damage. A lot of the time, the damage output of a non-prime versus a prime Warframe is actually the exact same. So, you know, if you build them like for like, they'll be doing the exact same damage. We're talking more from a survivability, maybe the tiniest minute quality of life, and then cosmetically. Okay. However, prime Warframes are not something that just because there's, you know, a Trinity non-prime doesn't automatically mean there's a Trinity prime. Prime Warframes are something that come out, you know, a year to 2 years later of a non-prime variant. So it's something that the developers release. They release into the world for you to then farm the components for. So there's going to be certain Warframes in the game, like for example Revenant and Protea, who are bound to. They are quest specific Warframes that are probably not going to get a prime variant for another year or two. So these are ones that you want to be farming for, grinding for, or if you don't want to do any of the quest lines for, you could just hit the buy button and spend 325 plat and just buy it outright because and not do the quests. However, the game is about farming and it is about grinding and it is about doing all of that because you know that is the fundamentals of the game. So if you don't enjoy doing any of that, then don't play it, because if all you're going to do is just buy all of these things, you're effectively just killing the whole reason to play the game in the first place, because the whole game is about farming and grinding and looking for fun in intuitive and clever ways of being able to make the grind and the farm more fun. So yeah, there's not always going to be a prime variant of something. For example, Wisp. I farmed out Wisp, got all the parts for her. I've now min-maxed her because I know that there is not going to be a prime version of that for years to come. And by the time it does come out, this Wisp to me would have been so like well-rounded and perfected that I'll have no reason to get a prime variant unless I need more mastery. Because as I say, collecting things and leveling them up is basically the way you get mastery rank. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's a good starting point for everyone. Tell me if I've missed out anything. This is the first time I'm doing any sort of kind of talk through video. It's not the best. There's PvP in the game as well, but we won't talk about that. To anyone that gets confused, that is this one here, the Conclave. So if you end up going here and things go a bit weird, that's because you're loaded into like a PvP section of the game. Not many people play it. It is good, but I would say that it's good to the people that have really mastered the play style and their Warframes and their movement and everything else. So I wouldn't go jumping into that just yet because yeah. And then you have, lastly, and then you have like the news, all the stuff that's going on in the game, updates, things like that. the other stuff I'm going to talk about, because they are like basically spoilers. And lastly, I will say that this game really pays off when you put the time in. If you put the time in, you will love it. If you're a Destiny fan, or, as I say, any of those kind of looter shooter games, the more you play this game, the more you will love it. It's a struggle to get into at the start. It helps to have someone kind of like guiding you through, and hopefully I've been able to give you some information on that. But if you take the time, put in the hours, do everything kind of systematically, it just opens up so much more, and you just realize just how fun it actually is, especially when you have all this choice and you've got your first kind of good selection of weapons and warframes and all that kind of stuff. So I hope this really helps. If you like the video, please like. If you like me or you want to see more content, please subscribe. You can also follow me and subscribe to me at twitch.tv H2O MFG. I'll put a link down in the description. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, and hopefully see you guys another time. Thank you very much. I've got to hit stop recording now. See ya.